Imagine being forced out of your own home, the city where you were born, the place you loved. Imagine being hunted, your family and friends persecuted, tortured, and even killed for years. Now, imagine returning to that very city, not as a vengetor seeking retribution, but with an army so vast it stretches as far as the eye can see. What would you do? This isn't a hypothetical scenario. This is the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his return to Makkah. It's a story not of conquest, but of unparalleled mercy. To understand this momentous day, we have to go back 2 years earlier to a crucial agreement known as the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. This was a 10-year peace treaty between the Muslims in Medina and the Quraysh, the ruling tribe of Makkah. It was a pact designed to end the long-standing conflict and allow for a period of calm. For a time, it held that peace is a fragile thing. The Quraysh's allies, the tribe of Banu Bakr, launched a brutal nighttime attack on the Banu Quza, who were allies of the Muslims. They killed many of them, even while they sought sanctuary near the sacred Kaaba. The Quraysh didn't just stand by. They actively supported the attack with men and weapons, shattering the treaty and making a major conflict almost inevitable. When news of this betrayal reached the Prophet Muhammad in Medina, he knew that this act of treachery could not be ignored. The very foundation of the peace agreement had been demolished. He began to prepare, but his preparation was not for a war of annihilation. It was for something else entirely. Word was sent out to the allied Muslim tribes. Soon, an army began to assemble, the largest the Arabian Peninsula had ever seen. 10,000 men, united by faith, gathered under one banner. Their destination, Makkah. The march began in the month of Ramadan, in the 8th year after the migration. To maintain the element of surprise and to prevent the Quraysh from preparing for a bloody battle within the sacred city, the Prophet commanded extreme secrecy. He wanted to avoid bloodshed at all costs. The goal was not to punish Makkah, but to liberate it, to free its people from the grip of idolatry and injustice without a fight. As the massive army moved south, they marched in silence, their numbers a well-guarded secret. When they finally camped in the valley of Maruzazan, just outside Makkah, the Prophet ordered every soldier to light a separate bonfire. That night, the hills surrounding Makkah blazed with 10,000 individual fires, a terrifying and awe-inspiring sight for anyone watching from the city. The message was clear: resistance was futile. This is where Abu Sufyan, one of the most powerful and staunchest opponents of the Prophet for 2 decades, re-enters the story. He was the leader of the Quraysh, the man who had led armies against the Muslims time and again. Spooked by the sight of the endless fires, he crept out of Makkah under the cover of darkness to investigate. He was soon discovered by Muslim patrols and brought before the Prophet Muhammad. Here stood the man who had caused so much pain and suffering. This was the moment for revenge, the moment to make an example of him. But that's not what happened. The Prophet, seeing his old nemesis standing before him, humbled and defeated, offered him protection. More than that, he offered him a way to save his people. After a night of reflection and conversation, witnessing the discipline and devotion of the Muslim army, Abu Sufyan's heart was changed. He accepted Islam and embraced the truth he had fought against for so long. The Prophet then gave him a mission. He told him to rush back to Makkah and announce, "Whoever enters the house of Abu Sufyan will be safe. Whoever locks their door and stays in their home will be safe. And whoever enters the sacred mosque, the Kaaba, will be safe." This wasn't the declaration of a conqueror. It was the strategy of a liberator, a peacemaker. The next morning, the moment arrived. The massive Muslim army advanced on Makkah from 4 different directions, a meticulously planned maneuver to enter the city peacefully. The Prophet himself led one of the columns. He entered Makkah, not on a war horse, but on his favorite camel. His head bowed so low in humility and gratitude to God that his beard almost touched the saddle. This was the man who had been stoned and driven out of this city, whose followers were starved and boycotted. Now he was returning as its leader, but his demeanor was one of utter humility, not pride. He was reciting from the Quran, from Surah Al-Fath, the chapter of victory. A victory granted by God. The streets were quiet. The people of Makkah, fearing the worst, had heeded Abu Sufyan's call and stayed indoors. There was no resistance, no fighting, just a handful of minor skirmishes on one flank that were quickly quelled. The Prophet's plan had worked. Makkah had been opened without bloodshed. His first destination was the Kaaba, the ancient house of worship built by Abraham and his son Ishmael. Peace be upon them both. For centuries, it had been the spiritual heart of Arabia, but it had become corrupted, filled with idols. 360 idols, representing various gods and goddesses, were arranged inside and around it. This was the epicenter of the polytheism the Prophet had preached against from day one. He circled the Kaaba 7 times on his camel. Then, with a staff in his hand, he approached the idols. He pointed to each one, reciting a verse from the Quran. Truth has come and falsehood has vanished. Indeed, falsehood is bound to vanish. With every recitation, he tapped an idol, and it fell. He didn't smash them in a rage. He simply touched them, and the symbols of a bygone era collapsed. The Kaaba was being cleansed, purified, and restored to its original purpose, the worship of the one true God. After cleansing the inside, he gave the key of the Kaaba back to its traditional custodians, the family of Uthman ibn Talha, ensuring their rights would be protected for all generations to come. Then he ordered Bilal ibn Rabah, the former Abyssinian slave who had been brutally tortured in Makkah for accepting Islam, to climb atop the Kaaba. And for the first time, the Islamic call to prayer echoed through the valleys of Makkah from its most sacred point, a powerful symbol of liberation and spiritual revolution. With the Kaaba cleansed, the Prophet turned his attention to the people of Makkah, the Quraysh, his tribe, his kinsmen, his persecutors, were gathered in the courtyard, their heads bowed, awaiting their fate. They were the ones who had mocked him, plotted to kill him, starved his followers, and waged war against him for 20 years. They had killed his beloved uncle Hamza and many of his closest companions. By all the laws of war and tribal custom of the time, he had every right to exact revenge. He had absolute power over them. The air was thick with tension. He looked at the anxious faces before him and asked a simple question. "O people of Quraysh, what do you think I will do to you?" They were his sworn enemies, now completely at his mercy. After a moment of silence, one of them spoke up, saying, "We expect nothing but good from you, O noble brother, and son of a noble brother." Their words were a desperate plea, an appeal to his character. The Prophet paused, looked at them with compassion, and then he spoke the words that would echo through history forever. He said, "I will say to you what my brother Joseph said to his brothers. There is no blame upon you today. Go, for you are all free, a general amnesty, no retribution, no enslavement. No punishment, just complete and unconditional forgiveness." In that moment, the cycle of violence and revenge that had plagued Arabia for centuries was broken. The day of conquest had become the day of mercy. The reaction was overwhelming. The people of Makkah, who had braced themselves for the worst, were stunned. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Waves of relief washed over them, followed by awe and admiration. They saw before them not a king or a conqueror, but a prophet of mercy. Their hearts, which had been hardened by pride and animosity, began to melt. Witnessing this incredible act of magnanimity, seeing the truth of his character laid bare, the people of Makkah came forward in droves to embrace Islam. They didn't convert out of fear, but out of love and respect for the man they had once tried to destroy. The very people who fought him most fiercely became some of his most devoted followers. The era of idol worship, of tribal warfare, of injustice in Makkah had come to a peaceful and definitive end. A new era of faith, unity, and compassion had begun. So, what is the ultimate lesson from this incredible story? It's a profound lesson in forgiveness. It teaches us that true strength isn't found in vengeance or the ability to dominate others. True strength lies in the ability to forgive, especially when you have the power to do the opposite. The Prophet Muhammad had every reason to punish Makkah, but he chose mercy. He showed the world that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, but the highest form of power, the power to heal, to unite, and to transform hearts. This story challenges us to look at our own lives. We all carry grievances, big and small. It's easy to hold onto anger and seek revenge. But the conquest of Makkah reminds us that there is a better way, a higher path, the path of mercy, compassion, and forgiveness. It's a timeless lesson that is as relevant today as it was over 1400 years ago. It's a reminder that even in our greatest moments of victory, the best choice is always mercy. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, Please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the depths of history and faith. See you in the next one.